of Codename New to Vero 2. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. Alright, I want to come clean with everybody. And you probably could gather this from my feelings while covering the Cobra's Venom storyline. Let me just show you. So we're up to part 4 now. And we looked at part 1, part 2, and part 3. And, you know, the covers look great, and the variants look good. And I've said this from the get-go. I'm not a big fan of the sci-fi aspect of G.I. Joe. I'm more interested in the covert operations, military. I mean, the silent option storyline, great. You know, the Dawn of the Rashikage storyline, great. But it's been really tough to do these reviews, and that's kind of, you know, been a test, is like how to cover something you're really not interested about. So we're up to, you know, we got through the whole Dr. Venom returning, becoming a robot, trying to kill off everybody. I thought it was done, and I was waiting for a new story. But again, part 4 came out. Now, this is where you kind of get, it's interesting. You get rewarded for putting up with this nonsense. And I'm sorry, that's the way I feel about it. I'm not really keen. I was not, it was like, you know. But part 4 is actually interesting and it's really good. So it's rewarding the reader for putting up with 1 through 3 of that insanity. So we're going to cover that. And again, if you've hung, you know, been like me and just stuck around for it, you're going to get rewarded too, because you're going to see some characters that you haven't seen in a while. So that's kind of cool, and that's what, you know, Larry Hama has reached out to the readers saying, hey, send me some ideas of characters. Again, a lot of people are on the social media and whatever, they want G.I. Joe to come back. Guys, you have to be proactive. You know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, and I'm looking up to other people and trying to follow. You know, but the more noise we make, the more interest, you know, again, with dollars, you know, that's, and showing support in social media, the more Hasbro will take notice to bring our beloved Joes back. They're, you know, gauging, like I talked about in the Shoe a Seek's sneaker episode, it was a litmus test. So let's be proactive, you know. And I'm going to go through the numbers in another episode of the G.I. Joe as like a financial analyst. That's what I do for a living, and auditing. So I'm going to go over that in a future episode, and why everyone should take note of the numbers, you know, because that's what executives look at, and you know, that's the way it is. So without further ado, let's pick up with part number 4 of the Cobra's Venom. As with all recaps, we begin with cover variants. I ended up with cover A, but again, Jagdish Kumar's art, as shown in cover B, looks amazing. I'm telling you guys, he's a talent we need to get behind and support. Wow. We begin on board the Tomahawk copter. The action picks up right where we left off in episode 3. Duke spearheaded a successful extraction. Roadblock, Big Ben, and Lifeline were part of the team to help rescue Bomb Strike, Ambush, Sightline, and freaking Milo. Lifeline informs Sightline he has maxed out on the morphine, so no more drugs for him. Jokingly, Sightline says he needs to be ready in time to run in the spring marathon. The rest of the team can see the extent of his injuries, and there's a high possibility of amputation for Sightline, and I don't recall ever seeing an issue in Marvel where this was brought up. So this is actually really interesting how they're going to deal with this. Big Ben asked Duke, will he be kicked off the Joe team if he loses a leg? I mean, come on, Big Ben. Talk about, like, perfect timing. You think this is a good time to bring this up? I mean, the guy is all drugged up and his legs and, you know, mangled. The other thing that is important to note is you could see how this is tearing Bomb Strike apart. She was the point and the leader of the operations, and looking at Sightline's condition is really tearing her apart. And then there's Milo, they have to drop him off at Darkolia, and I still don't understand what his purpose is and why he's there. So, I mean, we're up to issue number 4, and I still don't know who the hell he is or what he's doing or what purpose he serves. Back at Springfield, Cobra begins the extensive cleanup. Free from Dr. Venom's takeover, Mindbender and Cobra Commander look upon the devastation. Mindbender tells HCC how he offered the Joes to treat Sightline's injuries here on their premises as an honorable gesture from them saving everybody from Venom's wrath. In typical good old-fashioned hooded Cobra Commander, he's like, "What are you, nuts? I would have kicked them in the rear and tell them to limp off." And it's just good to see Cobra Commander be Cobra Commander. Over at Springfield Airport, the Baroness takes off. She contacts Destro as it appears they had plans to meet up in Scotland. Destro asks Baroness to meet him in New Jersey and change his plans. They're going to meet up at the Revanche headquarters. Just to let old Joe fans know, Revanche is a Mars competitor. Their claim to fame is building these blue bat-like ninjas. That's the best way to describe them, is like kind of like Skynet from the Terminator, because they don't really have like a central figure, but they just appear. So basically there's a power struggle going on between Mars and Revanche. So, you know, G.I. Joe and Cobra is kind of caught in the middle of that battle as well. Over in Shizidar, which is between Benzine and Tactical Abysmia, CoverGirl spearheads a team of Repeater, Dusty, and Leatherneck. After Wild Bill drops them off, she goes over the game plan. They are to extract 3 female UN workers. Apparently, Ripcord Airborne Heavy Duty were sent in earlier to extract them, but communications with them died. So they're going to a hostile situation. Number 1, they need to extract those 3 female workers. And number 2, they need to find out what happened to their guys. So far, this issue has 3 things going on at the same time. And guess what? There's going to be one more coming up. The Baroness lands in New Jersey and is met by Destro. Destro goes over the plans that he has. Basically, it's a hostile takeover. He's going to Revanche to, let's say, eliminate the competition. And he's asked Baroness to join in this takeover. So remember, they're dealing with some type of artificial intelligence. So Destro is leaving no stone unturned and has developed another weapon to neutralize these. See, I don't want to say they're bats because they're not. These guys are, like I said, they're like the Terminators. So the next panels, we're seeing the Iron Grenadiers basically going to town on these machines, and like they're basically destroying this place. And Destro has had it with them, and you know, with their whole undermining him and, you know, going after, you know, their competition and dealing with other cities. So basically he's had enough, and he's just going in there to end their operation once and for all. But it's cool to see the Baroness and Destro teaming up like old times. The other thing that a lot of old-time Joe fans may not know is that Revanche and the Blue Ninjas are responsible for killing Billy, Cobra Commander's son. So, again, this whole Cobra and Revanche teaming up doesn't make much sense. Also in that issue, Cobra and G.I. Joe actually teamed up to stop Revanche and the Blue Ninjas, and to avenge Billy. Back at the medical ward of the pit, the doctors discuss what's going on with Sightline, and they confirm that he is going to lose a leg. I mean, this crushes Duke, because he has to deal with kicking him off at G.I. Joe. The other thing is we get to see Duke not just be a leader, but be there for a fallen comrade. The good news is that they were able to amputate where they could fit a prosthetic. Think of Star Wars and when Luke cut his hand. I mentioned how this issue is all over the place. Well, this is the fourth thing. A suspicious packet has arrived at the post office addressed to G.I. Joe. So Airtight, Tunnel Rat, and Law and Order are there to sniff out to see what it is. I mentioned a whole bunch of characters we haven't seen in a while. Well, there you go. We haven't seen Airtight in version 1. And Law and Order we haven't seen in a while. And Tunnel Rat. These guys, since I've been following, we haven't seen them in a while. So it's kind of good to see them and, working together. Back with CoverGirl's team on Shazidar. They take the All-Strikers off-road, only to realize that the dust cloud may give away their position. So Repeater spots a village up ahead, but as you can see on the rooftops, it's covered with terrorists. So look out. So remember when Tunnel Rat, Law and Order, and Airtight were at the post office? Well, they did find something. It was like a flash drive that they found. There's no explosives or nothing, but it was kind of encased in a lead type of envelope. So Tunnel Rat brings this over to Mainframe to look at. And it turns out that Dr. Mindbender had sent it, and it's a prosthetic leg. Now, supposedly this prosthetic leg was something like a joint project between Revenge and Dr. Mindbender. But how ironic that Sightline needs this, and they found the latest and greatest right in the post office. We end this issue going somewhere underground. Now remember, Destro destroyed Revenge's headquarters, or so he thought. Revenge, again, is this Skynet type of thing, and they have all these little offices, but I guess this is their main quote-unquote hive or whatever. You conjure up images of Alien and Terminator. That's what this is. You're meeting all these bots that are all connected to the mother bot. So this is the main robot that controls this quote-unquote company. So again, 4 crazy things happening at once. Stay tuned for part 4. I'm going to end by saying this is a lot better than the other 3 episodes combined. I mean, you have 4 things happening at once, all these twists and turns. I'm actually excited for part 5, so can't wait for everyone to join us on that one. I'll see you all later.